tonight we are talking about Scanxiety. And the definition of Scanxiety is actually the fear of having medical scans or even holistic scans, our blood work or anything like that, that as it relates to a cancer diagnosis. So maybe a suspicion is happening. Maybe there is maybe there's been existing cancer and you're getting rescanned. So lots of things there. I hope you guys are finding me. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. I can't hear you, but I can see that you're here, Juan. Thank you for being here. But that is the definition of Scanxiety. And Scanxiety has not always been recognized as a medical condition or fear, but nowadays there is actually a lot of work being done in a lot of medical practices where they have people that are trained to help people go through this process. So they've actually entered some humanity into the process of getting medical scans. So for example, where I actually get my ultrasounds done, the technicians are amazing there. They are so supportive and so loving, and I feel like I'm being so taken care of. And even down to the radiologist who is reading it is really helpful. And it's an amazing thing that there has been that they've recognized that there's a problem and that they're actually going to working on solutions to solve that. So tonight we're going to talk about it in a way that where we talk about the problem, we identify what the problem really is, and then we talk about what is the mindset shift that we can do around scans to really signify them being an ally and as opposed to an enemy. So here we go again. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Leslie Nance. I am a certified holistic cancer coach, certified holistic nutritionist with a specialty in nutrition for cancer. I'm also a 7-year cancer survivor. This is my business. This is what I do for a living professionally. I coach people one-on-one through their cancer diagnoses, and it's quite the pleasure to do so. And so, hi, Kelly. Hi, James. Thank you guys for being here. Hi, Ann. Hi, Mary Lou. Thank you guys. Please share out so that the people that wanted to be here can find us because we had to restart the broadcast. And so anyway, I didn't have any sound, and so we fixed that. So that's what I do for a living. And we really work really hard to, in my business, to help people transition through cancer in a way where they gain enormous amounts of confidence in their journey and really give that like higher level of defense against cancer, working with cancer, working through a diagnosis, working through the nutrition, working through the mindset. So that's what I do for a living. But I do come here every Tuesday night, giving you some free trainings about mindset issues that pop up during the week. But I have been promising for weeks and weeks that I would come here and talk about Scanxiety. So tonight's the night. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let's say hello to a couple of people. Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to have you in the house today. James is saying, I look forward to my MRI scans. I guess because my MRIs just keep getting better. My doctor told me we could switch to an MRI switch to taking an MRI every year. That's awesome, James. Love, love, love that. Hello, Anne. It's good to see you. Thank you. I was just talking about Anne and the other. Anne is one of my clients, and Anne has been working through stage 4 breast cancer, and she actually shares her story with me in a video that we recorded yesterday, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. She's so inspirational, and it's just an amazing story. So welcome, Anne. Thank you for being here. I know this is a good night for you to be here as well. Mary Louise is coming in from New Jersey. Thank you so much for being here. Anne Marie says that this is better. I know. Thankfully, we have sound this time. Hi, Juan. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Anne Marie is here as well. Yes, hello, it's good to see you. Oh, I just said hello. Yeah, Eileen is saying this is better. Awesome. Thank you guys for transitioning and finding the broadcast again. I certainly appreciate that. Okay, so let's jump right into our topic tonight. And if you have Scanxiety, I want you to type in number 1 in the comment box. So if this is something that you deal with, I would love to know. So please, and everybody else would love to know that they're not the only ones that deal with it. so type in the number 1 if this is something that you deal with. And so here's the deal about Scanxiety. And Scanxiety, by the way, again, I'll say it again because I know some new people are coming in. Scanxiety is when we have a fear of scans that are looking for cancer. And this could be MRIs, this could be PET scans, this could be CT scans, it could be ultrasounds, it could be mammography. Okay, a lot of you. Thank you guys for your honesty. I appreciate it. Anne's got a lot of ones in there. Right? But there are a lot of, there are blood tests, there are a lot of ways that we predict cancer in a human body. We find cancer in a human body. And so we're going to talk about why they're important, and then also talk about that mindset shift that hopefully get you through some of that anxiety. So, but let's face it, I mean, you have been through a lot in your journey, right? And you have a programmed history with scans. And if you have active cancer, then the program history is that you had a scan and they found freaking cancer, right? Yeah, Eileen is saying, okay, excellent. Thank you guys for your honesty. I appreciate it so much. So a lot of you basically dealing with this. But you have a programmed history that when they scan you, that they find cancer. And so until you build up some of that history that says when they scan you, they don't find any cancer, then it gets a little less nerve-wracking, although it can still be a little nerve-wracking, and we're going to talk about that. Sometimes there's a history of pain with scans. Sometimes you have to have what they call contrast, where they inject a fluid into the body that contrasts on the imaging so that they can see more in detail about the invasiveness of the cancer, or to detect, cancer at all. That can be a painful process. It is not always a painful process, but it can be for some people. Maybe it's just something simple, like you just hate the thought of going into this freezing cold room and taking off your clothes and having to lay there still for half an hour, right? So maybe it's actually the physical part of the scan that's happening. And for a lot of you, it's waiting on the results. And for a lot of you, it's all those things. It's like all of that wrapped up into a big ball that is causing Scanxiety. And for all of us, there's a lot riding on each one of these scans. I mean, let's be fair. We are looking for information that will tell us and direct us what we need to do next, right? What we need to do next to help heal our bodies. And so there's a lot riding on these scans quite often. And so, a lot of us as well have survived a lot already. We've been through surgery. For some of you, this is your second go around with cancer. We have been through surgery. We've been through chemo. We've been through radiation. We're taking all of these preventative medicines. We're on immunotherapy. We've been through a lot already. And then you think about, they want to look for more cancer. And it feels very debilitating for a lot of people. And then on top of all of that, you have to wait for weeks, sometimes, not always, sometimes, for them to get the results back. And so you're on pins and needles leading to the scan, you get the scan, and then you have to wait for the results, which leads you down a whole nother path of this craziness where you're like, what? And it can ruin a whole entire month if you let it. Right? And then for those of you that are getting scanned routinely because you're dealing with the stage 4, it's even more nerve-wracking. And so there's actually a statistic for this now, and this comes from the Lung Cancer Association, and they actually have a paper that they put out quarterly, and in that paper they report that up to 70% up to 80% of people will have a debilitating Scanxiety leading up to and waiting for results for their scan. 80%. That means that a lot of us have this problem. And so it's definitely worth our discussion here today. And Scanxiety will affect all parts of your life. I have good notes tonight, so forgive me as I look down, because I want to make sure that I hit like every piece, because I did a lot of research, and I have some things that I definitely want to get out of my mouth today and not get sidetracked. So, but Scanxiety, it affects your entire life. It affects your sleep, it affects your eating habits, it affects your relationships, it affects your healing, it affects your work. There's actually another statistic that says that up to 90% of people lose focus in their work leading up to a scan. And I totally believe that. Like, I 100% believe that that is true, because it can be that frightening for people. And the worry, I mean, I think it's really important to discuss where the worry comes from, like what it stems from. And for those of you that are in current treatment, they're doing scans to judge how your treatment is doing. And so there's the worry that comes that maybe your treatment is not working anymore, or maybe that it's not the right kind of treatment for you, or maybe that, maybe that they're going to find more cancer, or that the cancer is not shrinking. I mean, there's like 1,000 different things that could happen in that scenario, right? For those of us that are cancer-free, for me in particular, it's a worry that they're going to find more cancer. Although I know that they're not going to find any more cancer in my body, I'm super confident about that fact, like ridiculously confident that I will never, ever have cancer again. It doesn't mean that I don't have some Scanxiety going into having my scans done on a yearly basis. I go once a year, and I do holistic and medical scans. And so we worry about, has my cancer reoccurred? Is this something that is going to happen again? Am I going to have to go through all of this again? Because there is hardly anything that's positive that's associated with a diagnosis, whether it be new or reoccurring or anything like that. It's hard to come up with something. We know how disruptive it was in our life before, and how crazy that would feel for it to happen all over again. And so it's like a roulette wheel, where we start the ball going around the wheel, right? And have you guys ever seen that game show? No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, right? But you start this ball going around this wheel, and you just hope that it lands on no cancer, right? And you're just like, please, 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 no cancer, no cancer, no cancer, no cancer, no cancer, right? And that's what it feels like. It feels like it's luck. It feels like it's luck of the draw. It feels like that it's, that it could come back any second of any day. And so you constantly feel like you're running away from something. But I'm here to tell you, what if you ran towards it? What? We're going to talk more about that. Hang with me, right? And so you worry about, do I have another cancer sentence? Like I'm being sentenced to cancer, or am I free? And am I free for another, few months? For me, it's another year. Am I free from this for another year or another few months? So I have some good news for you after I've laid out that big picture. And some of you may be experiencing anxiety right now as I'm talking. As I'm even talking about it, it brings up anxiety. And that's okay, because this is how we begin to deal with things like this. So I have some amazing news for you. And the amazing news is that none of this is the real problem. This is not the real problem. The scan is not the real problem. That is something that you feel like you can't control. I'm going to give you a piece of information that puts you back in the driver's seat. In fact, that's one of my tips tonight, is get back in the driver's seat. The real problem is that you're not totally confident about what is happening in your journey. You're not sure if you're making good decisions about your treatments, about what's right for you. Maybe somebody suggested something and you're like, I'll try anything, and you're trying it, but your gut is telling you, man, this is not right. This is not the right thing for me. So you're like, oh, damn. She like totally nailed me just right there. But you don't have the confidence that you're doing everything that you need to do to keep your cancer away. You want to know how to beat cancer? It's all up here. It's all up here. Changing your relationship with food, changing your relationship with cancer, changing your relationships that are rotten and stinky and need to be changed, changing your relationships with how you work, changing your relationship with yourself, changing your relationships, understanding that all of these worries and all of these things that you are possessing and holding on to are keeping you from healing. Now, you know that I shoot you guys straight. I do not pull any punches. I do not BS. I don't tell you everything's going to be fine if I think otherwise. Those of you that are my clients, you know this about me. I will never tell you that I think you're going to be okay if I truly don't believe that you're going to be okay. It's true. This is cancer. You can't be a BSer and help people through cancer. It's an impossibility. So, something very, very important to think about. And this is that we tend to beat ourselves. You guys got really quiet on me. Either you're taking notes or you're double multitasking or you're like, it's all fine. It's all good. I'm fine with any of that, right? Except the multitasking. You should sit down and listen because I'm about to hand out some good stuff right now. If you didn't have any fear, then what would protect you? What? Hold up. This is a reframe on fear that makes it work for you instead of working against you. If you did not have any fear, what would be there to protect you? I use this analogy all the time. If you've talked to me on the phone, I have used this analogy 1,000 times. If you were walking down your street, you were on a walk and you were walking down your street and around the corner came a big giant tiger with big teeth and big claws and just big. And he was so beautiful and so majestic. You wouldn't run up to that tiger and go, oh, look at the cute kitty cat. Oh, I'm going to pet the kid. Come here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty. No, you would go, oh, hell no. And you would turn and you would run as fast as you could to get your butt back in the house. What protected you there? What is the thing that protected you in that scenario? Fear. Fear that the tiger is going to eat you for lunch. Fear that the tiger is going to chase you down. Fear that if you try to run up a tree, he can climb a tree. Fear that he's got big teeth. Fear that he's got big claws. Even the most beautiful, majestic thing that you have ever seen walking down your street, you know as a human being that you have to run the other way. Fear protects you in this situation. But you know the second thing that protects you? Anybody want to guess? Right? You're exactly right, Kathy. You want to guess the other thing that protects you? I'll wait for just a few seconds. There's something else in that scenario that protects you. I know there's a huge lag on Facebook, so sorry about that, you guys. I have to kind of wait. Excuse me. There's something else that protects you. I'm going to wait till somebody at least tries to say it, types it in. But that tiger, your fear, your automatic fear, God, Sherry, I love it. Stacy's saying instinct, right? Mary's saying joy. I love that. No, knowledge. You have knowledge that a tiger is dangerous. You have been programmed that a tiger is dangerous. Will to live. I love that, Anne. That's actually really good. Intuition, knowledge, same thing, right? You have been, at some point in your life, you have witnessed on TV or maybe even in person or whatever, that you treat tigers with care. That you don't go running towards a tiger, you go running away from a tiger if you see one. And it's that knowledge that protects you. And so the combination of fear and knowledge is actually a very powerful asset in your cancer diagnosis. When you equip yourself with the knowledge of what cancer is possible of, and that's the only thing you equip yourself with, that causes fear when you get a scan. However, if you equip yourself with the knowledge of how powerful the body is in correcting cancer with the right information, then that knowledge combined with that fear says that you run towards the scan, right? Right? You run towards the scan. You don't run away from it. If you knew that you had a way to deal with a tiger, like you had a training or an understanding, maybe you would be able to stand there in front of the tiger and say, okay, I need to call somebody to help me get this tiger so that he doesn't get killed or he doesn't kill somebody. That's the wisdom. That's the understanding. I would still run. Right? Are we having trouble with sound again? I don't think so. I'm going to turn up my voice. No, I got sound. So running towards the scan, armed with the knowledge of how powerful that the body is, knowing that the scan is your ally, that it is not your enemy. Because I will tell you that any cancer that is detected early is way easier to solve than cancer that is detected later. And so I talk to women, mostly women, because you can actually feel tumors in your breast, right? Okay, thank you, Kathy. But women who have, tumors in their breast, we can feel them. And so I talk to women all the time that say to me, I knew the tumor was there, but I ignored it. And I just hoped that it would go away. Had they gone earlier, maybe they hadn't reached an advanced stage that they had. Now, not everyone has that advantage, of course, and everybody's story is different. I felt my tumor and I was like, oh no, I got to go to the doctor. Like I was in the doctor's office the next day and I was getting a mammogram and an ultrasound the next day after that. I mean, I was like, no. But so many people wait, they know something is wrong. Even if it's something that you can't detect, they know something is not right in their body, and they are so afraid of getting it scanned and finding out what it is that they let it go and go and go until it creates symptoms that cannot be, denied anymore. And then boom, boom, it's cancer. And by the way, it's an advanced stage, and and they've known it for like a year. So here's the second part of that. The problem is not the scan. It's not finding if you do or don't have cancer. The problem, one of the problems is that you are not in the driver's seat. Right? There you go, Alan. I love that. It's a good principle. We're going to talk about that actually. But you are not in the driver's seat. You do not have the knowledge about the thing that is scaring you the most, whether it's the actual scan that is scaring you, whether it's the results that are scaring you, whether it's the cancer that is scaring you. You are not in the driver's seat. Cancer is bossing you around. You are not bossing cancer around. And if you wait, or let me just say this, that if your team, if your doctors are making you wait weeks on end to get results, then you need to find a new doctor. Just bottom line, whether it's in the practice or not, and you need to set a precedent that you need the information because you're dealing with a lot of anxiety and you need the information as soon as possible. If that's part of your plan. Some people like to wait, actually, believe it or not. I can't stand to wait. I'm not a good waiter, right, Anne? But the longer you wait, the worse your picture that you're painting in your head is, right? Because you're painting this big, fat, ugly photo, painting in your head of what's going on. Oh my gosh, they're not contacting me because it's really, really bad. That's what's going on. It's really, 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 really bad. In reality, typically they're not contacting you because there's nothing to worry about. Most people that they contact quickly, or it can be bad news. It's not always. My doctors give me the information the same day, right? The same day I get the information. So just in the healthcare system I'm in, that's how they roll. So, all right, here's another point that I want you to think about. You are seeing your scans, and I touched on this a little bit, but I want to dig a little bit deeper, right? Right? I know. I had one client, Kathy is saying, I'm going to put this up here because I think this is really valid. I don't like to wait, and they need to be reminded that it can be hell waiting for results. This is exactly true, Kathy. And I had a woman say to me a few weeks ago, we were in an enrollment call, and she said, all I could think about was my doctor and the fact that he was going to leave his office that evening and go home to his family. And, of course, she doesn't know what her doctor's dealing with, but he's going to go home to his family and he's going to hug his children and, he's going to go about his life. And I'm going to go home tonight with cancer. That's how we feel sometimes. That's how much victimhood we live in, right? So yeah, it's a good point, but it's true. They do need to be reminded because it is a problem, especially if you're dealing with Scanxiety. I always set it up for them. I tell them, I'm not good at waiting for these results. So is it possible to get them sooner rather than later? And inevitably, I get what I want. So sometimes it's just a matter of being nice and asking politely for what you want. But if you are seeing your scans with dread or as the enemy, then they're always going to be that way. If you're seeing them as an ally in your fight, right, and in your journey, then they're going to be that. They're going to be an ally. They're not going to ever be probably something you really get excited about, but you're going to see it as an opportunity to prove to yourself that you don't have cancer anymore, right? And the more programming you get of that, the better off that it is, quite frankly. And my last point that I want to make is that the big, big bombshell, and that is that you're expecting the worst. This is a big problem. The problem is not the scan. The problem is not potential cancer. The problem is not waiting for the answer. The problem is that you are waiting for the worst thing. You are sitting there waiting. Oh, it's probably this. Oh, this is probably what happened. You are waiting worst case scenario. What if you flipped it and you actually started thinking about best case scenario? What if you closed your eyes and you visualize seeing the scan with no cancer on it? And your doctor's face when he gets to tell you that you're cancer free and that your treatments are working. Use that visualization. When you get to that Scanxiety point, use that visualization. How powerful is that? That is incredibly powerful. Glad you're here, Terrence. Yes, we had to do a redo. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I do. This is what I do for a living. I do come here and do free trainings, but I also help people through this craziness in their lives. I help them form a good relationship with their journey, help them form a good relationship with their doctors. I help them gain confidence in their process. I help them to get back into the driver's seat, right? I help this making the fear work for you, as opposed to working against you, right? I help you change your expectations of your outcomes and live through a retraining. So Eugene just said something. He said, we're trained to expect the worst. Well, that is something, if you've been trained to do it, you can be trained to undo it. Right? So if this is something that you're into and you're like, well, how do I do that, Leslie? Then it's super simple tonight. I'm going to make you one offer tonight, and that is to just simply hit the direct message button. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave me a comment, reach out to my email. If you're watching this in replay, just hit that direct message button and send me a message and say, look, at what you said tonight really resonated with me, or whatever you want to say. I don't care. That sounds like that's ridiculous. Anyway, it sounded like an altar call is what it sounded like. If you are ready to, nothing wrong with that. That's just not what I'm doing here. But if you are ready to make these switches and you're ready to stop living with all the doubt and all of the, everybody else driving the bus and you not being able to do so or get a hold of the situation. If you're tired of struggling with your diet and not knowing what to do, right? If you're tired of not having any confidence in your cancer journey, then it's time for you to reach out. It's time for you to just hit the DM message right now and reach out. I am here. Even if we have talked before and you're like, okay, no, now I'm ready, right? Now it's time. I need to do something about this. We talked, I was going to make changes. I didn't make any changes and I'm still struggling. Then let's fix this. All you have to do is just hit that direct message right to any stage. And I am happy to help you through that process.